Hello and welcome to Horror and Monster Collectibles, where today we are finally going to be doing a room tour for 2022. It has been about a year or so since the last collection tour, so I figured it was time I get off my butt and post one up. After this room tour, here in about 6 to 7 days, I will be posting a for sale video. So let's get on with this tour. All right, so first up, I get a lot of questions on what does the room look like in general as a whole. So kind of walking into it now, and then there is the door. You can see all of the cabinets and stuff. It's kind of hard to show all of it, but this will give you like just a general sense of the room. And its size. I typically just sit on my couch and watch TV right there. And as far as like scale, that's a 75-inch TV, so you can see how large everything is. So let's get started. All right guys, so starting just outside the room, I have these OG Universal Monsters posters. And I typically don't keep too much stuff outside of the collection room in the house. Up here I have obviously Bram Stoker's Dracula wall relief, which I love that piece. And going into the hallway that leads up into the collection room, the collection is called the Slaughtered Lamb. So I have a Slaughtered Lamb pub sign here. This was done by Horror Express Studios. It is a hand-painted, hand-carved sign, and he did an absolute killer job on that. And then here's a little zombie hand guitar wall hanger. And then over here we have this amazing Creepshow display done by Monster Man 37. Donnie is just an amazing dude to work with, and I love this display. It came out just absolutely fantastic. Here inside the room, a little hallway here, is a Spanish Cannibal Holocaust poster, and that is signed by Ruggiero down here. Then up here, really the only art print that I have is this Ripley piece, and this was painted by Olivia and signed by her right there. And I always felt like she just perfectly captured Ripley and Jonesy. I love that. All right, so up here above the door we have the life-size Alien Queen wall hanger. This is the exclusive from Hollywood Collectibles Group. And it arrived super broken, so I had to do a lot of repair work and repaint on it. But I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. And it looks good sitting above the door for sure. All right, next up through here, we will start with the Detolf row. And first up is the life-size Dr. Tong from Day of the Dead by Jeff Wohinko. And this was kind of touched up by me. I added a little bit more gore to him. But Jeff did a fantastic job on this piece, and I think there was only like 10 made. But he looks gnarly. And then over here, we have a life-size Gunther from the Funhouse by Patrick Mcgee. And Patrick did just a fantastic job on the sculpt and on the paintwork on this dude. Then down over here we have a life-size Ash from obviously Alien. And this piece was done by Howard S. I still need to add some fiber optics to them, which is one of my projects. But I love the way this piece came out. Then up here we have the 1/3 scale Big Chap 3D wall art statue by Prime One. And I still need to repair this dude. It arrived broken, like many of us collectors got these pieces. I'm not going to go into detail about how much I hate Prime One. You've probably seen enough rant videos about this piece. But then in front of it, we have the 1/4 scale Big Chap. And this was sculpted by Bill Weeger, and the paint and finish was done by Chase at Little Shop of Horrors. But I always loved that pose. Then back here we have the 1/3 scale Big Chap from Mcgee. And it is probably the most accurate Big Chap sculpt ever done. It is impeccably well sculpted and finished, and they captured every single piece of detail in the suit. Then of course here we have the iconic 1/3 scale Giger Museum maquette from Cool Props, and this is a exact replica of the Big Chap that is stored in the Giger Museum. That's a killer piece. Moving on, we have this life-size split face from The Thing. And this was sculpted by Danny Wagner, and it was painted up by Saul Alvarez. And it's just really well done, and I'm really proud to own this piece. Over here we have life-size Squid Man from the movie Slither. This was done by Riff Ghoul Creatures. And I really dig the way this came out. And Slither is such a great movie. I don't hear people talking about it like I feel like I should, because it was just fantastic practical effects. And then over here we have the life-size Baby Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. This is done from the original movie molds by David Miller Creations. And then over here we have life-size The Thing bust by Hex Hill Studios. And that's you can see how gnarly that is. And then finally over here we have the life-size Poltergeist Clown. And this one is done by Super Mongrel Studios. I've reworked it a bit already, but I need to do some weathering to it. But overall, I really love it. This is the double-sided one, so if you turn the head around, it has the normal clown face. I have it displayed right now with the evil clown, and I kind of switch it up from time to time. Over here is a life-size Fluffy the Crepe Beast from Creepshow. This was sculpted by Tom Savini. And I've primed it for painting. It came from Trick or Treat Studios unpainted, and I really wanted to kind of paint it up myself. So I got it primed, but I haven't gotten around to painting it yet. And then right here we have a life-size bust of Harry Warden from My Bloody Valentine, complete with Bloody Heart. And this was done by Horror Express Studios. And I really love the way it came out. It's kind of hard to get to right now, but he has a little breathing feature, which you guys may or may not have heard in previous videos. But he has a sound that replicates him breathing through the mask, which I love. Over here we have the new Tweeterhead life-size Skeletor bust. And I've already gone ahead and repainted this, although I haven't done up a review on the repaint yet. But I gave him more of a classic look, but he looks freaking badass to me. And then here we have a life-size Lord of Darkness bust by Darren Holt. This was his personal paint master. The second paint master went to Tom Savini and is currently in his collection. You've probably seen it in some of the videos he's posted. Then over here we have the life-size Dracula bat bust, also by Darren. And it's a fantastic piece too. I'm going to use a lot of the same adjectives over and over again, so you're going to have to bear with me. Then here we have the life-size Facehugger from Hollywood Collectibles Group. It was painted really just terribly from the factory. So I have primed it and masked it off, but I haven't gotten around to painting it yet. Some people have already painted this up and it's looked absolutely incredible. The sculpt is there, just the factory paint was atrocious. And in here we have just the utterly massive life-size Predalien bust from Sideshow. This was done in conjunction with Studio ADI, and they used their movie molds for this piece, and it really came out fantastic. I wish I could show it in all its glory because it is really massive. Again, it's over 3 feet long and just a nasty, nasty, nasty looking beast. Then over here we have the 1/3 Dog Alien exclusive by Prime 1. And this piece, man, it's surprising how much it's gone up in value. It's pretty crazy. But the Dog Alien is probably my second favorite Xeno design. Obviously I love the Big Chap the most because of Giger's influence, or Giger's just 100% direct work on there. But I like Giger's influence on this one in how Studio ADI just made it more organic. You know, made it look like if this was an actual creature, what it would look like, instead of having so much mechanical parts to it like Big Chap did. Then up here is a life-size Candyman wall hanger, and that is done by Dr. Satan. And it's pretty gnarly with its detail. And then coming over here we have the Cool Props life-size Big Chap. And this was signed by Giger's estate. I repainted the dome, or you know, I added more shading to it to kind of darken it up a little bit more because it was pretty clear, a little too clear from the factory, and I still need a little to do a little bit more work to it, but overall it's pretty close. And this is one of my favorite pieces. All right, now coming here, it's around the bottom part. Here is a life-size alien egg from Sideshow that I heavily modified. This was an AVP egg, and I removed the base and added like a more organic base to it. And I love the way that that came out. And then this is part of my guitar crap. It's also mixed in here, so you have to forgive that. Then we have the 1/3 scale big game Predator exclusive version in Victim from Prime 1. This is the version that was sold on our online store only. And then I really like the way the Victim came out as well. And then down here we just have some Pallbearer Press bobbleheads of the Zodiac, Pogo, and Eddie. These guys are just fun little figures for me. And in the back here we have the half-scale T800 Indo by Prime 1. And this is a pretty good piece. It is a very, very large piece, and it was a pain in the butt to put together. If I remember correctly, I think it took me like a couple hours to get him assembled. And then in front of here we have a life-size goat head by Mcgee Effects. And Patrick did just a wonderful job on this dude, where it looks like it's a real life goat head. Then over here we have the life-size Ed Wolf from Fright Night, and this was done by Into Effects, which I can't speak highly enough about. Matt is just a fantastic dude, and I recommend any of his work. And back here we have a life-size Creeper from Jeepers Creepers by Hollywood Collectibles. I had done some repaint on him. I wanted to get him more like he looked when it was towards the end of the movie and he was grabbing him from behind. He was about to take him to get his eyes. And then here is a life-size Creep from Creepshow. And this was done by Donnie McCurry, aka Monster Man 37. He had sent the whole display in the cabinet and stuff, but shipping just utterly destroyed it. And he's been working on getting me a cabinet, and that may already have been shown earlier in this video. But for right now, he kind of sits right here. If I get him in time, I'll put him in the front of this video. But I can't speak highly enough of Monster Man 37. Donnie is just an upstanding dude, and man, like, he's been a godsend to work with. Then right here we have the super weird and way, way, way funky life-size human skin lamp. And this was done by Spellbound Effects. And then I have the Slaughtered Lamb written on there because that is the name of the collection. And it's just a funky, funky piece. Then down here we have a life-size Pinhead bust. And this was done by Nikos at Sculpture Studio. But I made the diorama for him. And I'm really, really, really happy with the way he turned out. I just need to find a place to hang him up. And then down here is just a Night of the Creeps slug and newspaper replica. This was done by Rabid Weasel Studio. And I think that's just a cool piece. I love that movie. In the back here, you will notice there is just a bunch of action figures. It's kind of like my overflow. There are a bunch of Haya, Alien, and Predator pieces or figures back there. And then I need to figure out something to do with these figures, but this again is just my overflow. But there is some cool stuff in here. That is the San Diego Comic-Con 2022 exclusive of Zombo, which I love Zombo. From the original Monster series. Who knows what this new Monsters movie is going to look like, but at least I have that guy. And then here is the roughly quarter scale Tremors Graboid. This was done by Sideshow. And I had repainted it a bit, but this is an older piece, but it's still the best Graboid done. Coming on through here, more figures. That's the SDCC exclusive of The Thing, which is probably one of my favorite action figures. And then, you know, I have a bunch of like band stuff in here too, like Candlemass and King Diamond figures and stuff. I need to, at some point, just do a action figure video for you guys. I have, amazingly enough, over 600 figures all kind of shoved in this room. And I'll show some of those in more detail towards the end of the video. Here is the life-size Mohawk Gremlin from Gremlins 2. And this was done by Steve Wang and ECC. And that's just a killer piece. The copier actually comes on, which is a pretty cool effect, although I don't have that plugged in right now. Then down here we have, which is kind of hard to show, but it's the life-size Kessler wolf from Zolosa Creations, and this was painted up by Sal. I just need to find a place to hang it up. It was hanging where the Creepshow display is now at, and I need to find a place for it. But right now it's kind of there on the floor. And then down here is yet another project I need to do, which is a life-size kennel dog from The Thing, and this was sculpted by Howard S. And it's an awesome piece. I just need to get around to doing it. And then down in here I have a Cycloptopus. This was done by Rotten Resin and painted up by Gary Tunnicliffe, who did lots of work for Hellraiser. And then here we kind of have my Evil Dead corner, where we have the 1/3 exclusive Ash from Prime 1. I don't display him with the possessed face sculpt because the stuff going on with his body doesn't match at the time, you know, in the movie where he was possessed. So I didn't feel right in posing him with that. But this is just an absolutely awesome piece. And here we have the 1/1 custom Necronomicon. I did a review on this thing, and it's crazy how the views keep on going up on this thing. I think there's like 30 or I don't remember how many thousand views on it so far, which is pretty crazy. It is a complete Necronomicon. It was done up to include all the pages from all of the movies, and it's just a killer piece. And then back here again we have more figures. We have a little Art the Clown Terrifier in there, and just a bunch of different random stuff. And we have some Spirit Halloween Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and just some random crap thrown in. All right, coming up to the top row, we have a Cthulhu statue by Nemesis Now. And then in the back of here, you will notice that I have a bunch of boxed action figures, a lot of sets, and then you know, there's a lot of like quarter scale stuff back in here too. So you'll notice that as we kind of go through this row. But here we have a life-size mother bust from Psycho, and this was done up by Andrew Santiago. And then here we have a life-size Angelique bust from Hellraiser, and this was done by Mike Effects, and I think that Gary Tunnicliffe may have painted this piece, but I'm not sure. But whoever did it did a fantastic job on the paint app. And then over here we have a life-size surgeon bust from Hellraiser by Diluted Concepts. And this piece will never leave my collection. It's just absolutely fantastic. They did killer work on this. All right, moving on. In between here, we have a Neca the Exorcist piece, and that is signed by Linda Blair. And then in front, we have my quarter scale slasher pieces, or some of them anyway. This is the quarter scale exclusive from Sideshow, Leatherface. And I really like the way that they all pair together. Here we have the quarter scale Jason exclusive from Sideshow. And then here we have the quarter scale Myers exclusive from Halloween by PCS. And then I added a couple of pumpkins from '78 by Creation X on the display down here. And then up here we have the quarter scale Freddy exclusive from Sideshow. This is one of those weird exclusives where I prefer not to display the EX because I feel like the EX with him holding the skull just looked weird. I'd rather have the non-exclusive with him holding the doll. The skull just didn't look that great to me. So sometimes I display the exclusive swap outs and sometimes I don't. Okay, more and more of the boxed figures. And then in front of here we have a life-size Art the Clown, and this was done by Evan Para. And Evan's just an amazing guy to work with, super cool, super nice. I love that dude. And then over here we have a life-size Bride bust by Blackheart, and this was sculpted by Jeff Yeager and is painted up by Greg McKellar. And it's just a beautiful piece. Then over here, thrown in for good measure, is a fish and cat ghoulie from Ghoulies 2. These are sold by Trick or Treat Studios. I'm kind of hoping that they'll do more of these. They're not like super well done as far as paint apps and finish. I mean, they're lower price point collectibles, but they're still super rad, and it would be cool to have a full set of Ghoulies. Always loved those movies growing up as a kid. And here is just more action figures kind of packed in together. And I have this really cool Sid and Bill signed reject set in there. And then just again, a bunch more figures. And I know a lot of people are out of the box collectors. I'm an in the box collector. I don't do it for resale. I just do it because when you have so many hundreds of figures, it's not really feasible to have everything out and all of the little extra parts that they come with, and maintaining and keeping up with that. It's easier to just kind of display them in the art box like this. And then up top, I have some of my favorite signed figures. We have a Linda Blair Regan And then we have a Heather Nancy. And then we have a Pamela and Jason. That one's not signed. It's just a favorite figure of mine. And then I have a signed Sid, Captain Spaulding. He signed this one for me just before he passed away. And then trying to get a better view for you guys, there is a Tim Curry Darkness here and a Steve Dash signed Jason and a Robert Englund signed Freddy. All right, now coming down through here, we have the 1/6 scale Ghostbusters set. This is the 4-pack by Blitzway. And then also their 1/6 scale Ecto 1, which is an utterly massive car. It's not showing up how big it is on video, but this thing is probably about 3 feet long. It's huge. And then over here we have more action figures, mostly NECA and Mezco. There's a lot of exclusive stuff in there from like Scream Factory and whatnot, but again, they're all just kind of packed in there. And then we have the 6 scale Tortured Souls series figures from McFarlane. These figures are so awesome, and they're still relatively cheap, which is surprising because there's a lot of detail to them and they're pretty gory. I wish McFarlane would make a return to form. They just really completely fell off, and NECA's thankfully taken over, but I would like to see NECA challenged by McFarlane at some point again. I know that a lot of people that worked for McFarlane went over to NECA, and I think that that's really what hit them hard. And then over here we have some 1/4 scale NECA big chaps and a Super 8 figure in there as well. We have a little Reanimator display from Nightmares Unlimited. And we have a little Christine car. And then we have a Cannibal Holocaust piece. This card is signed by Ruggiero. I have the actual statue coming, but I don't know if it's going to be here in time. This video might be finished before that arrives. Hopefully not. I'd like to show it to you guys. Then down here we have a Freddy statue from Factory Entertainment. And we have a little Ghoulies statue from Full Moon. He looks pretty cool coming out of the toilet. Then we have a big chap, warrior and dog from Kotobukiya. And this big chap from Kotobukiya still remains one of the best big chap sculpts of pieces out there, and has become highly sought after. Alright, and then we have a little cat's eye troll from Nightmare Reality Studio, and he's kind of like sitting behind a little room camera. I have some security cameras for this room. And then we have an OG Pennywise from Diamond Select. A little Monstars finger doodle that I repainted. And then we have a cool Killer Gingerbread Man from Krampus by Image Motor. So he's kind of leaping off, about to stab somebody. And then we have Pennywise in a box by Diamond Select. And of course, no collection is complete without a Phantasm Sphere. And then back here I have some Freddy replica gloves from Nightmares Unlimited. And then just more action figures, Donnie Darko and the Nun. Just a bunch of stuff, random stuff thrown in here. All right, moving on to the details. We have a quarter scale spider head by Dr. Satan with a little blood test display I made. And then above that, we have the Soda Toys, roughly half scale Norse spider head by Soda Toys. Now I repainted that dude too. Then up here, we have 1/6 Marcus from Underworld by Star Ace. This is their exclusive version. And then here we have the quarter scale Undying Carcass from Sideshow, which is just a really underrated piece. You don't really ever hear people talking about it, and you can still get it at a really good price, honestly. But I always thought it was one of the more gnarly pieces from the Dead series, and actually his robe comes off and like there's all kinds of cool guts and stuff underneath him, but I kind of display him with a robe. And then above here we have the life-size Barlow from Salem's Lot, and this was painted up by Casey Love, who is one of the top painters in the world. I love that piece. Here is the Scalped Woman from Maniac by Nameless Media. This was a German release. I think there was only a couple hundred of these made, and you just don't ever see them in anybody's collection. But I love it. It's a gnarly piece, and I love that movie Maniac too. Coming down here, we have a life-size Reverend Cain. And this was done up by Connor DeLess. This is obviously from Poltergeist 2. And it is one of only 3 ever made. And I just absolutely love this piece. It's one of the best sculpted and painted pieces I've ever seen. Connor does utterly amazing work. I don't think he does anything anymore though, which is kind of disappointing. Down here we have the life-size dog alien inner jaw cast from the movie mold. This was done up by Little Shop of Horrors. But that's cool. This is a cool, different alien piece that you don't typically see. And speaking of alien, here is a life-size colonist bust from Blackheart, and this was painted up by Statue Doc from the Netherlands, who does amazing work. I got this from my friend Carrie, who is a phenomenal person, and she has an amazing collection, and she's also from the Netherlands as well. But she's pretty rad. Again, I'm envious of her collection. But I got this piece from her and I love it. And then down here are just more box sets. I have the Friday 13th box set from Neca, and then another Neca box set of, I think that's the, was it 2004 Chainsaw Massacre, which is a great movie. And then the Soda Toys, The Thing, Kennel Dog display, and then the NECA Cenobite Lair box set, which I think was like a Spencer's exclusive or something like that. I can't remember. All right, moving along, we have a 1/4 scale Karloff as the Mummy. This was done up by Sideshow many years ago, and it is just a really well done piece. And speaking of well done Sideshow stuff, here is a life-size Patient Zero bust by them. It's quite a few years old now, but it was one of my first pieces from Sideshow, and I don't see it ever leaving my collection. It's just got the quintessential zombie pose, and I really dig it. Great paint app and sculpt work on here. And then up here we have the roughly half scale Facehugger specimen, and this display lights up, but I don't have it lit up right now. And this was by Aruga Chronicles. They were a Russian company, and I think that there was only about 25 of these made, but it came out wonderful. I just want like a life-size display of that. And then I'm sure by now you've noticed that I have action figures all packed behind the detolfs. I will go over and show you video of those towards the end of this. But moving on to what's in the detolfs, this is a roughly half-scale sectioned alien egg with a facehugger, and this was done by Golf Studios. And yeah, it's a pretty awesome piece. I think that there was only about 20 of these made. Then down here we have a life-size Regan bust. This was done up by Saul. And a couple of little Pazuzu pieces, a little artifact piece right here, and then Pazuzu statue in the back. But this is one of my favorite Regan pieces. I had the Father Phantom Studio, but I ended up selling it. Not because I didn't like it, but I liked that this one could fit in a detolf easier. So I just kind of kept this one. I didn't really need two of them. And if that wasn't enough evil spirits in this room, down here we have the infamous Jolly Chimp. This is original 1960s Jolly Chimp, which you I'm sure recognize from, there's quite a few horror movies that feature this dude. But I've been searching one for a long time, and I wanted to find one that was nicely aged with good patina on there, and I came across this dude, and he was a must-have. He is really gnarly. Then down here we have a quarter-scale Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth. This was done by Gentle Giant, and probably one of the better Pale Man pieces out there. Then back here we have a life-size Talkie Tina from Biff Bang Pow. This piece is done up much better than the Trick or Treat Studios version, and I really like the way it came out. And I think that Talkie Tina was one of the first possessed dolls, as far as I know. There may be some older ones, but I remember her from the Twilight Zone, and it scared me as a kid. Coming up here, we have a Bloody Corpse. And this was done up by Jim Lawrence. He got the skull from an unknown source, so we don't know who to give credit to the sculpt to. But he did a really good job on this piece, and I ended up going back and kind of adding more gore to the guts, which unfortunately really aren't showing up through glass too well, but you get an idea how gnarly it is. And then up here is little Mobius models, Mars Attacks dude. There's a model kit I had done up a couple years ago, or quite a few years ago actually. But I love Mars Attacks, so I needed something in my collection. And then here we have the half-scale Pennywise from Prime One Studio. And this is not the standard statue. I have the surprised head sculpt on it because I really liked the way that that sculpt looked versus the stock one. But they did actually a fantastic job on this piece. And then here's the base. But it is one of the best Pennywise statues out there. Then down here we have a little King Diamond display with some Merciful Fate and King Diamond stuff in there. You guys may or may not know that I am a huge King Diamond fan. So I have a little place in my detolf dedicated to him. Then up here we have a half-scale Nosferatu the Vampire from the '79 German film. And this was sculpted by Kent Kidwell and painted up by Saul Alvarez. And they just perfectly captured him from that movie, which is a great movie if you guys have not seen it. And then up here we have a half-scale Meg Mucklebones from the movie Legend. And I added a gloss coat to her to kind of wet her up a bit more. But this was done by Sideshow, and it was done some years ago. But I really like this piece. And I love that movie. And here is my little Lovecraft display. We have a Menace Sum Cthulhu right here, which is just an incredibly well done and detailed piece. And then back here we have some gecko pieces. We have Nyarlathotep right there. And then behind there we have another Cthulhu. Then coming down here we have a life-size Tooth Fairy from Hellboy 2. And this was sculpted by Stephen Fourier and painted up by Little Shop of Horrors. And then right next to him, which makes no sense, is Leatherface. And this was done by Kotobukiya. And this is the Slaughterhouse Bloody variant. They did a great job on this figure. I'm all for Kotobukiya doing more of these dudes. Then down here, we have a Kickstarter Chucky, Good Guy doll. And this was done by Trick or Treat Studios. And I have the knife and stuff like that. Here's some batteries for them, and I have a little talking unit that I have with them. But I like the way that piece came out, overall anyway. And then down here we have a Hellraiser Lament configuration. This was signed by all 4 Cenobites. So we have Doug, Nicholas, Simon, and Barbie on there, which is hard to get all of them in the same room at the same time. This was quite a few years ago that I got this piece done, and I have pictures of them signing, all of them signing this dude. And then of course we have old Pinhead picture frame done up next to it. But I like this display. I just wish that I need to like stain the wood on the display base to match the picture frame. I want a darker shade on there. All right, moving along, we have the quarter scale Jeepers Creepers Creeper exclusive statue from Hollywood Collectibles Group. And then I also have some other little pieces down in here, like the Factory X, Bow and Dagger, and a little handmade throwing star, and a Be Eating You plate in the back. I like the way he looks in that sculpt. Then coming up here, we have a quarter scale Bride and Monster set. This was done by Sideshow back when they had the Universal license and they were knocking out all the pieces like Wolfman and Mummy and Dracula and stuff. But I like this set. I like how they're paired together, how she's kind of turning her shoulder to him All he wanted was some love. But the sculpts on there are fantastic, and they still hold up to this day. And speaking of those pieces, here is the quarter scale Wolfman by Sideshow, done in the same series. Which again, these pieces, you know, are close to 15 years old now and still hold up to this day. All right, over here we have a life-size Evil Dead skull. This was done by Patrick Mcgee, and behind it is a real working Evil Dead 2 reel-to-reel recorder, and it has all of Professor Nobi's recordings on there from the movie, which is really cool. Going down through here, we have more classic Sideshow with Dracula. I really like this piece. I know I say that a lot, but I feel like they captured Bella pretty well with this. And then down here is one of the more gnarly pieces, and that is the half scale. It's a little smaller than half scale, so it's between the 1/3 and half. Tarman from Return of the Living Dead, and this was done by Grey House Studios. Then down here we have Ben from House, and a little 3D House movie poster display that I had somebody print out for me. It's a Hex 3D piece, but it arrived damaged, and the paint job on it was terrible as far as the hand, so I had to repaint the hand, remount it and stuff. But I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out when it was all said and done anyway. And then here we have a life-size Amy bust from Fright Night by Into Effects. Again, I can't recommend his work enough. He does impeccable work, and he's just a great dude, and you can't beat that combination. And then, of course, we have a life-size Evil Ed from Fright Night as well. I choose this to display him with the Raggedy Ann wig, but again, I can't recommend Into Effects enough. I have about 3 of his pieces so far, and I plan on getting more. And then finally, as I jingle the clown, we have the rabbit from Twilight Zone. This was sculpted by Danny Wagner and painted up by Saul. You'll notice that I have a bunch of pieces painted by him. I like the way this guy looks. All right, moving along, we have an approximately 8 scale Valak the Nun by Sideshow, which is a great piece. I just kind of wish it was larger, but I still feel like they did a great job on it. And this is the exclusive version. And down here we have a life-size Caretaker. This is the deluxe Caretaker by Grey House Studios. And I've done a review for him, but I just haven't posted it up yet. I need to get to that. But Grey House does fantastic work. And then down here we have a Krite from Critters. This was done by Raging Zombie Studios, if you guys remember them. And this was taken from the movie molds, so it is an accurate Krite. But it's a very cool piece and highly sought after. And then down here we have another Maniac piece. This is the Post Art Statue Ultimate Limited Collectors Fan Edition, which I think they didn't put enough words in the title of that thing, but I think this was a pretty limited piece too. Not as limited as the German Scalped Woman, but it's still a rad piece. And then we have a life-size Chucky. This is the Kickstarter version from Trick or Treat Studios. And this is the seated Chucky version. But the Kickstarter version had the signed card by Chris and Tony and Justin. And then here we have quarter scale Sideshow Phantom of the Opera. Which is still, these pieces still hold up to this day, which is saying a lot. And then up here, we have a roughly 1/5 scale Bride and Monster by Mobius Models. They have a unpainted version that they sell, but this is the pre-painted one. And here we have a Stairs Corpse from Night of the Living Dead by Misshapen Monsters. And back here I have a little Fright Rags figure set. And then even behind there I have, you can kind of see like another Slaughtered Lamb sign by Horror Express Studios. And then coming down here, we have quarter scale Pinhead exclusive from Sideshow. This was from Hellraiser 3. And then I have a puzzle box. That's a Trick or Treat Studios puzzle box. And then back behind it, I have a Pillar of Souls, which is a 1/6 scale piece done by Gary Tunnicliffe, who did the special effects for the movie. And then down here, I have a Bram Stoker's Dracula red armor helmet. And I ended up weathering up this guy to get it more of a classic look. But this is a pretty awesome replica of that helmet. And then I got like a little wooden display stand with it. Alright guys, if you made it this far, now we're going to do the action figures besides the box ones. We're going to go over the 3 3/4 figures and the ones that are behind the details. Now, a lot of this stuff is like reaction figures, but I do have some little custom figures in here, kind of mixed in here. But just kind of all stuff that speaks to me. There's like a custom aborted Maniac Cult figure. Some Slayer. There's a custom Babadook and a custom Poltergeist. Mcgee fried chicken. And then there is a Distinctive Dummies bin. We just have some Reanimator stuff, little custom Candyman, bees, and the fog. Some Morning Wood, some Thoughts and Prayers, King Diamond stuff. Again, you'll probably see like a bunch of Slayer and King Diamond figures mixed in here, and Anthrax and whatnot. Megadeth, Coronavirus, some Horny Twigs, Deadbeat Dad, Exorcist, Evil Dead, those custom figures. Little Anthrax, which we all know that that dude was done off of Poltergeist 2. Some Venom and Anthrax. Love Robocop. And Army of Darkness, and then got some classic Twilight Zone figures. Candyman, Some more Twilight Zone throughout here. And I just collected ones from episodes that I really, really liked. And then here we have some Mcgee stuff, which usually aren't like the best looking figures, but I really appreciate the price point of these guys. And then also, they're classic figures. I'm glad that the company was able to fire back up again and has some success. And they've been doing pretty good. They're pumping out figures left and right. They have great licenses now. And then we have some original 80s Tales from the Crypt Keeper figures. You guys remember that cartoon? Here is all of the action figures that are behind my Detolfs. As you'll notice, most of these are blister packaging. I like to keep these behind there just because they display better and I can still see the fronts of them. And we have a mix here. We're going to see, mostly Mezco and McFarlane and NECA stuff in here. 99% horror stuff. Love my little Hostel figure. But yeah, I love this stuff. Action figures are really my forte into collecting, and I just can't get enough of them. And really, these are all just kind of Tetrised in. It's really kind of hard to pack all these in together behind here because they're just different size packaging and stuff. So I really had to kind of plan it out quite a bit. And there's just so many of them. Of course, Killer Clowns, Dr. Satan. I love the Tortured Soul series of stuff. Wishmaster, which doesn't get enough love in my opinion. Just really, really awesome figures. And this is back also when McFarlane did kick-ass stuff. Of course, we have The Thing. And we have Meg from Soda Toys. And of course, some Ghostbusters thrown in because why not? Freddy, Hitchhiker. I love Prometheus. I don't know if you guys do, but I was a huge Prometheus fan. I really love the Alien series in general. It's probably my favorite movie franchise. Not all of them are hits for me, but I do like pretty much all of them. And then, sorry, it's getting dark back over here. There's some new figures in here, but most of them are older. Army of Darkness and Candyman. Dog Soldiers. Some Van Helsing stuff. But, yep. And then it has some quarter scale Predator stuff. Again, like I leave all these in boxes, not because I'm a reseller, just because it's the way I like to store them. It's not practical for me to have them all out with my collection as it is. It's easier just for me to keep them all neat in the packaging. Toxic Avenger, Land of the Dead, The Fog, another House of a Thousand Corpses, a Mummy, which I love that figure. Soda Toys put out some like really kick-ass stuff. Spawn, Creeper, Day of the Dead. We have a bunch of Hellraiser figures throughout here, which I really love these sets. NECA is still putting out great stuff, but man, like I wish McFarlane would decide that he wants to compete in the horror market again. Nightbreed, Reanimator, Good old Freddy. And then we have some of Mezco's old Silent Screamers line, which these figures are just absolutely phenomenal and still stand up to this day. And Elvira. And over here, we'll take a look at those 3 3/4 in a second. But got more of some Tortured Soul stuff here. And Phantasm. Infernal Parade. The Twisted Oz figures. Elizabeth Bathory. Candyman. Just bunches and bunches of stuff. Again, like, I'm a horror action figure addict. I just can't get enough of them. And even if I get out of collecting high-end statues and stuff, I think I will always stay with action figures. Again, because it was my first passion, and I still love them. 30 Days a Night. I love this figure set, and that movie is just an amazing movie. Tortured Souls. Got old Chucky in there. Faces of Madness figures, tiny. Devil's Rejects. Saw. More Infernal Parade. Boba Otep. The Twisted Fairy Tale figures are rad. Some pretty gnarly stuff going on in there. And same with the Tortured Souls. Alright guys, so you made it to the end. I appreciate all of your support. Again, as you know, this is a non-monetized channel. So, you know, I just do this for the love of the hobby, to introduce people to different pieces, different things that they may or may not know exist. And that's really where my passion comes from. I love helping other people out. I've been doing this pretty heavily for 6 years now. So it means a lot that you guys continue to support me. And I really like that camaraderie that we have in the community. If you've seen something in here and you have any kind of questions, leave a comment below and I'll respond to it and give you more details. Typically, I've already done a review on that particular piece and I can kind of direct you to that. So as always, feel free to like and subscribe and click the bell for notifications for new videos. And again, in about 6 to 7 days, I will be posting that for sale video. So look for that and I will see you guys later.